What's up, everybody? It's your favorite guest's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the TFC ST Commander Tyrant. Now, if I'm right about this is supposed to be a continuation of their kind of G.I. Joe inspired Transformer line. They did a couple of variants of a Prime, and then now we get a Megatron to accompany him, which I guess is cool enough. So it's supposed to be, I suppose, somewhat reminiscent of a Cobra vehicle, and I should say vehicles, because it turns into like 100 things, which I can tell you after my break from Monday, and I don't mean that in a figurative term, but in a literal term, I'm not looking forward to going through 5 modes. But we've made our choices, and we have to honor them. This was sent to me by Jin. It arrived at the end of December, but we just had so much stuff come in, fans, toys, and Moon Studios and everything else, that it's just taken me a minute to get to it. But we're here, so let's get to it. But in order to get to it, we gotta get to accessories. So I'm just gonna go over the stuff that doesn't come attached to him in the box. It's this extra piece here, which serves as a number of different things as we'll go through. It's painted beautifully. You can manipulate it. We're gonna kind of have to cover some of this stuff a little bit differently than we normally do because there's just so much to go over here. But it is a brilliant kind of metallic red paint, this silver paint, and this black finish as well. There's die-cast pieces, a lot of moving parts. We'll talk about it. You can get this to sit on top of the mode that comes kind of stock, which is like the tank-ish mode, by just sitting it up on top. There's 2 pegs that peg in right below this sort of winged piece. It comes with this piece, which is some sort of weapon thing. And once again, same sort of deco. We have some even Tampo paint, which we had on the other as well. I just didn't point it out. And a port. And this can really be done any kind of way you want. There's pegs all over this thing. I think this one goes here per the box. I'm looking at pictures of the box. It looks like that to me. And you saw, hopefully, the port sitting next to that. There's also this piece, which has a separate port, once again decoed beautifully, and that will peg on to there. It comes with this piece, which is kind of an extension piece, but we'll show how that can go simply by plugging it into there. You have this. Is it a barrel? Maybe. Is it propellers? Perhaps. Is it a tripod? The world may never know, but for right now, it's going to be a barrel, and we're going to plug it into the front of the tank. We have these 2 pieces painted silver, little Lego pieces on top, and the little design painted on, and they're going to go on the side here. There's 2 tabs for them to plug in on both sides. There's also this head in the box, which is not unlike other things that come in a box. And this is silver, and then we have light piping on the back, which is silly, but it's there. Otherwise, okay sculpt for the helmet. The face is a little wonky, in my opinion, but it is painted nicely. He comes with this double barrel blaster. As you can see, port on one side, peg on the other. All this stuff is completely buildable. If you go to the bottom of the piece, you'll find a peg. This comes like this already in box, so it's there. So here is one mode. Your turret can move up. It can also rotate left and right. Be careful, this thing is fully painted, but you hear the ratchets. So there's a lot you can do here. This can manipulate, this can manipulate, this can manipulate. You have these die-cast pieces, they can all manipulate. These all open up, you know, etc., etc. They're a translucent silver throughout. Red accents painted, yellow accents painted. Die-cast pieces here, they do pop off. I had a piece come loose when I opened it. Die-cast piece here, 5mm ports everywhere. You can kind of interchange all of this stuff as you see fit. It has that playability factor that the Prime had as well. Rubber tracks, and they do work. And I don't think there's anything really left to say. It's painted beautifully, and it's kind of, you know, G.I. Joe-esque, right? It works, I think. There it is next to Tiger Tracks. Big old unit. This thing has a ton of different modes. The box shows 6 different modes. I don't know how many it has. I'll work through a few of them. In order to do so, you kind of have to break this thing down to its skeleton. So we'll take this off. We'll set that to the side. And then there's these side pieces. And once you loosen them up, you can unpeg this and there on both sides. Then if you free this section up, you can unpeg it from the front. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. We're gonna free world. Night. Untab. I'm gonna try to keep accountable for all this stuff. So much stuff. Untab. Remove. And we're left with this. Then on the bottom, if you split the legs a little bit, you can remove this whole section here. Untab that. Get rid of it. Tabs in here at the treads. Get rid of that. Then we're gonna put the legs back together and interconnect these two pieces. We're gonna come back to our turret, remove these two pieces from the turret itself. Come to the tank. This piece here is super tight. I'll tell you how I got it, and I wouldn't mess with it too terribly much, but I used the peg from this as a lever. You see how tight this thing is? Like, it's crazy. And use that to get it up, so to speak, but yeah, not great. So have that like that. Then make sure these hip skirts are up. Peg in the pieces you removed. And peg in this cannon from the piece you removed. And there you have your scout tank. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. So basically just a smaller version of the initial tank. This isn't the greatest fit in the world, but other than that, does pretty much the same things. It's just a smaller, scoutier version, apparently. I think it's fine. Let's continue. Let's do the helicopter next. Take this part off. Take these parts off. And God bless, let's see. Unpeg these from the side. We need to rotate everything. So unpeg these from the side. Spin those 180. Really ugly, ugly, ugly fit. Spin this one 180. Ugly, ugly, ugly fit. And make sure that's good. We're gonna spin this 180. Then we want to take this section and flip this 180. Lock that in place. Come on. There we go. And then extend this out. It's not much, but it does extend a little bit. And let's see. And then on this side, we want to take our treads, port, peg, peg, bring them around and plug them in. Bring them around and plug them in. Bring these over and down, over and down. Pretty simple. We'll peg in this too. Secure a lot of this up. I'll secure this up, we'll add the accessories. So once again, these pieces come back on, much like our scout tank. Come back to your piece here and remove this. Take this, flip it down, and I don't know if it matters what side it goes on. I think this might be the more appealing looking side, and then put your blades down, and I had a 50-50 shot, so of course I did it wrong. And then once again, you can kind of arm up anything that you want with pegs, and do you know what I mean? Like your options are somewhat limitless. I'll get them set up, we'll take a look at them. And I'll be honest with you, I actually think I had this wrong. I was looking at it because it seems to go better like that, and then you can spin these. So, silly mistake, but one nonetheless. So I think that this is fine. I'm looking at the box, which is what I'm using as a reference for this stuff, and it seems like most of the modes are variations of this or the scout tank. So between those two, I think you should be able to get it. I think that we should show, well, I think that we should show tire tracks for one. I think that we should show the kind of bird thing. I feel like that's worth taking a look at. It is of note that like the other, like all this stuff you can peg in any way that you can find, like, see fit, and build this stuff up however you want. It's just very modular in that way. Let me show you this bird thing. So here it is. It's pretty self-explanatory. You flip this around, you flip this down, you flip these up, and then you flip your wings out. And I mean, that's basically it. There's this piece here at the bottom that's kind of a pain to get to. And then doesn't lock in, which is a little strange. Like, you know what I mean? But I mean, I guess even if it's, I don't know, there's another landing gear here, it looks like. I'm not messing with that. I'm gonna scratch this paint before you know it. Yeah, that's basically it, right? If you want this thing. And then it's got 5mm ports all over it. You can arm this thing up however you want. You know, that's kind of the name of the game with this set. All right, so I've stripped this thing down to kind of the bare bones again. We're gonna go to robot mode now. We're gonna flip these out. We're gonna flip these up and out of the way. We're going to flip our hip skirts up and out of the way, only so we can untab these pieces and flip this back around. And these are supposed, and then collapse these until they tab back in. Then we can actually split the legs. And on the back side, there is a panel here that, if I can get open, will allow you to extend the leg and close back up. You can then rotate the toes out and the heel out. And we'll go ahead and do that one more time. So, panel on the back, we're gonna do our best to flip that open, extend, tab that back in, heel toe. And that's basically the legs. Manipulate these out, get them back. There's a joint here that will sit flush. And actually you can spin these around too. And then back. And they just sit there like a backpack. So let's do this one on this side first. This part down. Bend here. Wrap it around his waist. And bring the treads back. Unpeg the arms from the side. Bring them down. Rotate them. Extend the arms. Rotate that. Open the panel. I can never remember what side. There it is. Flip the hand out. Rotate that. Keep that like that. Same on this side. Down. The bottom opens. There. Flip the hand out. Back. Take these black pieces, flip them around to the back. This spins 180 and collapses on his back. Oh, but you gotta have this tight little bit there. And let's see. And then you had to get the head out. Use this to cantilever that up. Flip that. Head comes up. Spin it around, this encapsulates it, and that's him. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. This is kind of our basic Megatron robot, and these shoulders do collapse. And then there's like a super power armored one as well. But we'll go ahead and look at the articulation here. The head is on a ball peg. The ball peg is connected to a hinge. These flaps at the neck do have a tendency to get out of sorts as you're manipulating it, which I'm not crazy about. But you can get up to there, down to there, swivel, confused Megatron head, Articulation works pretty well across the board. The paint comes through beautifully. The sculpt comes through beautifully. Shoulders, you can extend them. And then you have two joints, one at the shoulder and one at the chest. That allows you to get past 90 degrees. That will also allow for outward movement as well. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. The base one is ratcheted. Wrist swivel, really tight, moves the whole bicep. Wrist swivel, fingers are independently articulated. Ball peg at the base, secondary, tertiary hinges. Thumb, ball peg at the base, connected to a hinge, and then a secondary hinge. Same for the other side. Let's get these out of the way. We have an ab crunch and a waist swivel. No issues there. Hip skirts up and out of the way. Once again, decoed out the wazoo. Paint everywhere. Outward ratcheted universal joints for the full Van Damme. And if we get these out of the way. Full Monty. Took me a minute to get there, but you can get it. Thigh swivel. Thigh swivel. Let's see. Double jointed knee. Get you the full run pretty much. Die cast joints. Paint everywhere. Everything that you see is pretty much painted. Ankles. And look at all that red paint, silver paint, black, yellow, beautiful. Ankles, nothing really for an ankle tilt down. You do get an ankle tilt up, and then you get a rocker, a full rocker. So that's nice. There he is from the back. Let's arm him up real quick, and then we'll armor him up. So just from light work, got the missile on one arm, double barrel unit on the other arm, and then the one tracks look like a gun. Whatever, right? Armable. So there he is next to Magic Square Prime. Like, he's a massive, massive figure. Little bit taller than this Prime, and as we armor him up, it's only going to get more absurd. So let's get started on that. All right, so I've tucked his hands in. We have to collapse the toe and heel. And we'll bring in our first piece, flip down the heel on this, and the toe, and this pegs in here and here. No problem. And we'll go ahead and do that for the other one. Heel, toe, and heel, toe, and we'll connect that as well, hopefully. There. Up. There. Take your treads and your other treads that are left over, collapse as much as you can, and they will peg in using this series of tabs, I believe. Maybe it's just the one. Onto the back. And you're going to do that for the other side as well. This one's already set to go. Plug that in. Then bring in these pieces. Open this. Turn it. Slide it back. Open this. And peg in. And close up. And that is the wrong, no. Okay, cool. There's one. Take the other one. Open, rotate, slide, open. And peg in, close up, rotate your fist. Take your bird, you gotta transform a lot of this back, not all of it. but a fair bit. Collapse the wings, take these pieces off, we'll set them to the side, and collapse your landing gear. I think that's supposed to come down. Now, before you can put the backpack on, you have to take these and spin them back the other way. And it's scary. I don't like it at all. I don't think that's ratcheted one bit. I think that's all squeaks, personally. Take this, slide it right onto that groove system there, and then sit the backpack kind of flush in front of it. Then take these two pieces, missiles out, and plug them into the top of your treads. And then his over-the-shoulder cannon pegs in to the back of his backpack. And there he is, super armored up. And I'm not going to go through the articulation. It is the same, except for the hands, which are the same articulation anyway. They're just upscaled. I have a feeling that I'll be fighting with this more so. This is definitely a display piece, not a play piece once you get it into this mode. And I will do a quick size comparison once again. There it is with Magic Square Prime. So, sizable unit. And one thing I want to show you before we get to final thoughts is just how I would... I'm not getting this guy. I don't have any interest in it. But if I were to get it, how I would display it. And I think that's it. I think I might power up the forearms. It depends. Like, I kind of like the proportions when the upper body looks smaller than the lower body. It just makes it look more intimidating, menacing, and heroic kind of in a way, even though it's Megatron. I don't know. This is what I would go with. Maybe I'd add the forearms. I don't need all the extra bulk backpack, bulk legs, etc., etc. And I'm sure there's 1,000 different things you can come up with for this guy in order to make it work, but this is what I would do. So I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a whole lot of negative to say about this guy. Objectively anyway. I will say that, like, because it is fully painted, some of the tolerance regarding some of the 5mm ports are slightly off due to the paint finish not being fully accounted for. Every now and then you'll find a weapon that you know is supposed to fit in some peg or some hole and it just doesn't do it naturally or quite nicely, or at least as nicely as you would like it to. It's a nitpick, but it's something worth mentioning. On top of that, I think the face sculpt is not good. That's subjective. You may love it. To me, it just looks out of sorts. It looks like an old elderly person to me. I don't much care for it. On top of that, I think that light piping is antiquated and doesn't have any place in the modern market. I know that makes some of you mad, but I'm not here to make you happy. And then my only other criticism is it's not even fair, because it's the whole gimmick to this thing. Have any of you guys ever bought a figure that had far too many accessories? And it becomes a challenge almost as to how you want to display it. Like, you don't know what to keep in the box, you don't know what to keep out, you don't know how to even necessarily pose it, because some of the poses kind of rely on the accessories. Options are great, but sometimes too many options is just, and maybe this sounds ridiculous, but I feel like if you know what I'm saying, sometimes it's too many options is just a burden. And I hate to say it, but some of this feels very much like a burden. Some of this feels very cumbersome because of just how much it has going on with it. And that's all I got. Positives wise, I had to piggyback right off of that point and say the whole objective is this thing is to have all of those accessories and be as modular as it is. This feels like one of those Takara Diaclone things that I looked at recently, where it's just the whole gimmick of it is just how many configurations you can come up with that are all kind of largely based on 3 different configurations, but there's still enough interesting stuff here that you can manipulate it around and kind of lock in different things and create your own sort of alt mode. I think it plays in well to the theme of the G.I. Joe vs. Cobra, and it looks on brand. It's sculpted well with the exception of the face. It's painted beautifully from top to bottom. The articulation's all there. The materials feel good. The die cast in it plus the plastics feel sturdy. So if you like this or even remotely into this kind of stuff, I'd say you're probably going to be super happy to get this in hand. It's a strong recommend from me if you're interested in it as a novelty piece, or you just sort of like this conceptually. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.